All right, so this will be the last video. This is the same thing, but David Menzies in the mean streets of Toronto for another store that also refuses to implement vaccine passports. LOL, our boy. No suit, right? I mean, like he doesn't always wear a suit, but he does need to bring back the villain energy, 100%.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in Toronto. Well, folks, I'm on Danforth Avenue, or the Danforth, as it's known by. Great place to go and...
For Mocha to be in Alberta, he would have assumably been on a plane, train, bus. Did he wear a mask? Probably not. I mean, he probably would have had to if he was going to be on a plane at some point. I had to fix this.
Oh, that's loud.
Yeah, we're gonna...
David Menzies for Rebel News here in Toronto. Well, folks, I'm on Danforth Avenue, or the Danforth, as it's known by. Great place to go and grab a bite to eat, especially Greek food, which it's famous for. But in John Tory's Toronto, in Doug Ford's Ontario, apparently right now, Apartheid is on the menu. That's the daily special, because if I want to go to one of these wonderful restaurants here on the Danforth and sit indoors, I have to have my papers. And if you're double vaccinated, you get in. And if you're not, well, you are shown the door. It's a disgrace. In any event, there are several dozen people gathering here at Danforth and Logan, and they're going to do what's known as a picnic protest. These have been popping up all over the world, including in Calgary a few days ago. The complicating thing...
I think he does eventually mention that it is Greek, or at least they're known for their Greek food. So that is sort of where he is.
He did mention it earlier.
Oh, he already mentioned it, yeah.
Yeah.
Thing is today is that it's been pouring. It's a little break in the rain right now.
I'm
so I
hoping
don't
that same
know how
energy is
many
gonna happen
people want to
tomorrow.
picnic in the rain. We'll see as the day goes on, and see what happens in this picnic protest, which isn't really about not being allowed to get into a restaurant, as it is in the new dual-tier citizenship that is now inherent to Doug Ford's Ontario.
I just love that dual-tier citizenship. That's what we have right now.
What brought you out to this picnic protest today?
Well, David, I just think it's extremely unfair that people are having to show their vaccine, proof of their vaccine, before they can go into a restaurant. I think the vaccine, it's already official that it doesn't stop transmission, so I don't see how the passport will stop transmission.
The cross?
The cross necklace, yeah.
Did you hear what she just said? Vaccines do not stop transmission, therefore vaccine passports will not stop transmission. I think it's what she just said. Let me hear this again.
Having to show their vaccine, proof of their vaccine, before they can go into a restaurant. I think the vaccine, it's already official that it doesn't stop transmission, so I don't see how the passport will stop transmission.
I mean, it's not... I mean, she's not completely wrong in that, like, you can still transmit the virus if you have the vaccine. But what's missing in what she's saying is that it severely diminishes the extent to which you will have an infection that could kill you and wipe you out. It also reduces the extent to which you transmit. I mean, I love like this idea of like it has to be all or none. So it's like if some people who get vaccinated transmit the virus, therefore like the virus sucks. When it's like, wouldn't it be good if the vaccine stops a lot of people from transmitting the virus? You know, doesn't that count? Shouldn't that matter? No, it's gonna be all or none. Also, like, how would the vaccine passport like not? I mean, again, it might not stop transmission between, say, a vaccinated person, or it wouldn't like prevent a whole stop. A person who has a vaccine sitting in a restaurant who's infected, giving the virus to another vaccinated person who is vaccinated. It would severely reduce that. But even then, what reduces that even further is if there's no other like non-vax person who's going to be more transmissible when they get out of the restaurant if they've been infected in the restaurant. Yes, it diminishes the vaccine load. Thank you, Nam, for putting into better parlance. And the vaccine load matters because if it reduces the vaccine load, it reduces the chances in which you will get an infection from a vaccinated person who has some virus in them. I just love it. Like it's frustrating how we are this far into this fucking pandemic and people are still like this.
It's not necessary, and this is something we all need to oppose because it's headed down a really bad direction where we don't want to live.
This is not about being vaxxed or unvaxxed. This is simply about the fact that we're being imposed upon this vaccination passport, which, to the worst of all their ability, the government is basically asking non-medical people, owners of...
Yeah, Windows XP umbrella? Super weird. Super fucking weird. Notice as well that she's another person as well who did the whole, like, it's not about being pro or anti-vax. It's just like we're being imposed on, and that's the problem. That's why when I drive my car, I do not obey traffic laws, because I feel like traffic laws are an imposition upon me and my freedom to run over pedestrians.
Yes.
And she's trying to buffer it, which is like eventually the Windows XP sound's going to play as she comes to. Speeding laws are authoritarian. Definitely. I think a lot of, I don't know about the person we just saw, but a lot of European people at these protests tend to be from like Eastern Bloc countries, especially when you get people like Archer Pawlowski, who have this vague sense that communism bad and are associating the passport with communism.
It's like that person that we just had that, I don't know. Dom said French. That feels more like Greek to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then we also had like that Scottish-Irish lady earlier in Calgary. We had like one or two of the other ones in Calgary had some sort of like a bit of a like accent, and this lady does too if you listen to her. Like it's not like, it's like, what's...
Listen, Vienna, diversity
Come on,
is
Europeans,
our
like... Sure, fucking whatever. I love diversity at our anti-vax protests so much. So good. So wonderful.
We've made it. Oh my god. Why do people need my medical blood alcohol history? Or the police, yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, frankly. Maybe the police shouldn't be the one.
The real answer to all of that stuff is ban cars, but... And you can drunk bike wherever you want.
Yeah. True.
Restaurants
Drunk
and you
horse
name
ride?
it to ask
Go for
me,
it.
have you been...
Did you say drunk horse ride?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll think about it. When I'm king, I will consider implementing... Actually, let's mandate it. If you're going to ride a horse, you must be drunk. That's the only way.
vaccinated?
Yeah.
Guess what? It's none of your business. It is absolutely and completely private from anybody except for me, myself, and my doctor.
Unless...
I want to note, like, it's none of my business, like, whether you're vaccinated or not. And the implication there is, like, it doesn't matter that you're increasing the possibility that these particulates will enter my area and I'll get an infection. Now, I imagine that a lot of these people would think that it's an assault or not okay if we just, like, spat directly in their face. But how far from, like the reason why spitting feels so gross is it's, like, really concentrated. That it's like you feel it and you can see it, right? But the particulate is just spit that's spread out, you know? So I am constantly being assaulted by people breathing near me. And we never consider that because we can't see it like we can see spit. Just saying.
No, I think the Europeans are right. We should bring back those, like, we should just start doing, like, huge sloppy cheek kisses every time that we meet people. Pass people in the street, just anybody. You see a person, three kisses mandatory.
See, I'm after this pandemic, I'm opting in the opposite direction. I think like no more shaking of hands. You can only do thumbs up from far away.
See, I'm down for no more shaking of hands, but like high fives are still good. Very intimate forehead kisses. Elaborate bows.
Elaborate bows, yeah. I love
Yeah,
the
yeah.
addition of extremely intimate.
But yeah, of course. You don't want it to be just like casual and like boring, you know?
Yeah, you gotta have that intimate forehead kiss have a little bit of flair.
Yeah, like a little bit of like stroking their cheek or like patting them on the head, like,
Full
you
tongue.
know? Yeah. Yeah.
I bow with my aura. My body doesn't have to move or some shit.
This might not be that relevant to non-Catholics, but like on Ash Wednesday, they like dip the priest like dips their thumb in like the ashes of palm leaves and like draws a cross on your forehead in the with the ash. And I think that we should do that except with our tongues during the forehead kisses.
So you've heard it here today,
Just
folks.
a little
Vienna was
Christian
saying,
crosses of saliva.
Vienna was saying we need to be more like Roman Catholic priests.
Yes. We should all convert to Catholicism.
Oh God. No.
You have the double jabs. You can't get into a indoor dining setting. It almost seems like a...
Oh, I was gonna kind of random, but like I did love when my grandpa has died. I've already sort of like talked about it. Died on Sunday, and I mentioned to Vienna off stream. I was like, I think they're cremating him, and then Vienna was like, can Roman Catholics do that? I forgot to mention my grandpa's Roman Catholic, and so I got curious, and we were like looking into it. Apparently, like Roman Catholics allow you to get cremated. It's just like you can only be placed where like the priest has like consecrated an area, like it's a church approved spot. And the other thing is like you're not allowed to spread the ashes or like separate the ashes into like multiple jars. I guess because like in order for like the spiritness to remain whole, all the ashes must be kept together. And
It's gotta be like some new shit. Like,
and the thing that's like weird about that, I was like, what if like while they do the burning and trying to put it in the jar, they like miss a few particulate. You know what I mean? Then it is technically scattered, is it not? And technically separate. How do they make these guarantees? And what about like the parts that like go up in the vapors? Because I'm sure not like through the burning process, not every particulate remains in the concentrated area. I don't know. This religion thing is starting to sound a little too complicated for me. This podcast is now haram thanks to Vienna.
see, I guess that is the best ultimate post-pandemic greeting is Assalamu alaikum. So, you know, we can just kind of we are all going to Islam.
Yeah, but you don't want me speaking Middle Eastern words. You yelled at me for my pronunciation.
Yes, but I want you to pronounce things well or properly.
Judaism has similar restrictions about bodily integrity for burial.
Yeah. It was only in 1963 that the Catholic Church said you could be cremated at all. Then in 1997, they said that you could still do funerals if you were.
I mean, as I said, like my dad's mom died when he was 14, and so my grandpa remarried, which is why there's an age gap between my grandma being 78 and grandpa being must have been, I can't remember his age. I should have asked my dad recently, but like I think he would have been like 97 around there. And so the reason why there's that huge age gap is because they remarried. But my grandma, she divorced back in the day and was Roman Catholic then as well. And and then they got remarried, right? I guess with my grandpa, it would have been sanctioned by the church because my grandpa was a widow. But yeah, I'm surprised they were able to get remarried in a Catholic church ceremony, even though she got divorced, which is deeply frowned upon. Yet my tats are locking me out of the good part of the afterlife forever. Some Jewish cemeteries wouldn't take me officially. That's wild. I know my dad was with this got derailed a little bit, but I don't mind. My dad and my mom wanted to get married, I think, in a Catholic church. I think maybe my mom wanted to, even though she's not Catholic. And like my dad like is a hardcore atheist. And I'll say that because like I joked, I think on a recent stream as well. Like he's an atheist because like I think he really is that stereotype of like hating God because his mom died when he was 14. But like they made him like do ceremonies to like prove that he was Catholic enough to do the ceremony in their church or whatever. When he still didn't believe. I can't remember what they made him do. Anyways, back to the mean streets of Toronto.
A form of apartheid is in Canada now. It's not race-based apartheid as we saw in South Africa, but it's based on your medical history. Did you ever think we would be living in times like this?
This has caught me off guard, though.
Caught him off guard.
This is not.
I hate this. I'm just done with. I'm over restaurants today. I don't need them anymore.
I will acknowledge, I'm pretty sure this guy here, I'll pull up the video that I have here. I'm pretty sure. I was running because we did a bunch of like Palestinian streams back when the Palestinian protests were happening. And it was before I was posting to YouTube. So I rendered a bunch of stuff. And I just got around to rendering this video today, hence why I have it here. But I'm pretty sure, and it's just by coincidence that I watched it today, but I'm pretty sure that this dude is this dude here. I'm almost, and like part of it is the haircut, but it's also the face, the ears. I'm pretty sure this is the same dude. And so this dude was standing defending the JDL people, and we were pretty sure with some of the pins that he had on him that he was like a wolf of Odin, maybe. Like he's got a wolf on the shoulder there, and like a pin and stuff. But just by coincidence, I happen to have edited this today, such that I noticed that this guy looks pretty close to this dude, and I'm pretty sure it's him. I'm pretty sure. I should also explain that it's a very lily white up middle class area where Greeks can be considered ethnic. That's true. This guy looks like someone who needs this, so he has a substitute for a personality. Yeah. The gloves too. I'm gonna ride my bike with military looking gloves.
This is not Canadian culture and all that.
I know what the truth is. We all know the truth. That's why.
That's so much wisdom. This is not Canadian culture and all that. Thank you.
This has caught me off guard, though. This is not Canadian culture and all that.
I know what the truth.
Genius, fucking genius.
Truth is, we all know the truth. That's why we're here. You guys, Rebel, have been doing a really good job of showing the truth. It's only a matter of time before it comes out, but unfortunately, some people are so, I don't know what the word is, hypnotized, that they don't see it and they act like that, and they're really cruel and they're really aggressive. But just want to say one thing. If we could just show all these beautiful here people that have come out here that are so brave, so dedicated, and that are fighting for what's right. And you know, when I come out to the...
Yeah, I don't think she's French. I think she's Greek. My guess is she's one of the store owners, based on her energy. That is my guess.
these events, I feel like all these people are my brothers and sisters. We do not consent! We do not!
Just like the age demographic. Just the age. All these people are my brothers and sisters. And they're just a whole bunch of boomers. Whole bunch of boomers. They don't consent, though.
Consent! We do not! The businesses are not, they want the vaccine passports. It's absolutely illegal to be requesting that. That is your private information. It doesn't belong to anyone else but to you yourself and to your doctors.
And I used to love eating out, so this.
Hell yeah.
People. It's your private information. It doesn't belong to anyone else. No one else. I use, like, why can't I do all the things that I used to do? Change is bad.
This is where it's become medical apartheid.
I mean, you look at some of these, just the other day I read some articles in the newspaper that where these, bar owners or whatever were complaining, oh my goodness, we've lost 40 to 60% of our revenue since they've implemented this stuff
I'm guessing
in
she was reading
September.
the Toronto Sun.
And all I want to say is, and you're surprised at this?
I love that too. It's like, they've lost revenue. Okay, so why do you think they support the vaccine passport right now? Could it be that, like, maybe the hope is that if you have a vaccine passport, people will feel more comfortable eating at a restaurant because they feel like they'll be reducing the extent to which this virus could spread even further by making it so that only vaccine people can eat in the establishment. Like, there's no reason why all these corporations would jump on this. Like, it's a critical mass thing, right? Like, most companies wanted the vaccine passport because they want to make people feel, the majority of people feel comfortable and then will enter their establishments and shop, right? It's a monetary thing. The funny thing is by having the majority have that position, the minority can then have a grifting opportunity. So they get to have all these people now be the people who are going to shop at their store, right? And all the people who are going to support them and be loyal when this, hopefully be loyal when this whole thing is done. It's a grifting opportunity. Otherwise, why would they financially do this? It's stupid. Why would you give free pizza on your milk crates outside of your store? You know? The faster people get vaccinated, the faster businesses can go back to normal, which with predictable profit. No, exactly.
What's going down? So let's run out what's going on. Well, you know what, Jim, this is a picnic protest.
Sounded like David Menzies was like.
So, ma'am, I'm reading your poster. It says, "I'm here for this guy. Rest in peace, Dad. January 2021." Was that your father that passed away?
No, her husband.
Oh, your husband.
Oh, her husband.
The fuck?
Okay then. And
What's the what the fuck?
Are they wearing masks? They're not wearing masks.
No. Well, are you curious why this person apparently died?
Yeah.
And may I ask what the circumstances were?
He went into hospital December 29th for mobility issues. And they wouldn't care for him until they did the COVID test and waited for the COVID test to come back or not.
So, mobility issues. What do you think? What do you think a mobility issue is? Like, it's very nondescript. Mobility issue.
When it came back positive, they.
I feel bad for the person who died. I don't want, and I feel bad for them. I currently have lost people, but here's the thing is they're going to talk to a lot of things here that like are personally relevant for me right now, which is the fact that I have not been allowed to go see my grandma at a hospital in Cambridge because, vaccine or like COVID numbers are to an extent that the hospital is restricting people from entering and all that fun stuff, right? So I'm currently in that position for people like this who are, even though they lost someone, we're going to find out, lost to COVID, and they're out here still protesting, and like as if you lost someone this close to you from the fucking pandemic, and yet you're going to go and like praise these businesses who refuse to offer vaccine mandates. And as you're going to see, they're going to try to deny that this person died from COVID, which is gross. Gross. I feel for them, but at the same time, it's fucking gross.
They focused entirely on the COVID aspect and ignored his mobility issues. A couple of days later, we couldn't get a hold of the hospital at all for a full day. He was put on the ventilator without informed consent. And we had to watch him through Zoom until January 28th when he was taken off life support.
A really bad side of...
Like...
So he died of COVID?
Yeah. Yeah. But
that's it.
But
That's
they're
the whole
saying
thing.
it's the mobility issues, though. It had nothing to do with COVID. And it's the putting him on the ventilator that like killed him. And it's like, I'm sorry. Holy shit, she's mad that her dad was put on a ventilator. Like what? Like exactly. Like what? It would be one thing if like you had like a do not resuscitate or something like this, or whatever it is. I don't know how old the grandfather is. Any of that stuff. It's just like, if what other procedure do you think? Like it's almost like she's thinking I'm smarter than the doctor, and I actually know how to treat my dad. I'm sorry, but you're not. Like we're going through this stuff with my grandma with the brain tumors, right? And it's like, at no point did my dad, when discussing his mom, like try to outrule the doctor and be like, what you're saying is going on in her brain is not accurate, and I know better than you. And so therefore, I think you should do my treatment as opposed to the ones that you're suggesting. Like at no point would that ever occur to my family members. Because that is ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. Fuck, I feel bad, but someone in that family's life needs to help them get past that trauma. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, they're going to carry it with them, too. Piss they put him on a ventilator and not a tube filled with horse piss. Jesus fucking Christ. Oh. Yeah, no, I couldn't believe when I came across that. Just like, unnecessary. Like it's not even about like trusting 100% with full certainty like doctors. It's just a awareness of like a knowledge discrepancy. And it's like, yes, I am also frustrated with the hospital, or not with the hospital. I'm frustrated that I can't go see my grandma right now. I might be able to in the near future when for whatever decision they make, she gets to leave the hospital, either to go to her house and wait for the tumors to take over, or to end up in hospice, and I'll be able to be with her. But it's like, I'm not mad at the hospital because there's those restrictions. I'm mad at these assholes. The only reason the hospitals have the policies they do is because of these assholes. The only reason they couldn't see their father is because of the other assholes in the world. It's like, why didn't you realize that? Instead, they made it all about themselves and like made it about the hospitals just being mean to us by not letting us come in to see our father. It's just to cope and blame them. Yeah, pretty much. My grandma has a friend who had a stroke 2 months after the second shot and was kind of convinced it was due to the vaccine. She's 93 and had a previous history. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. If I was on the anti-vax spectrum, like I could be like, my grandpa, both my grandpa and my grandma were vaccinated. So like the fact that my grandpa died recently, was that due to the vaccines, or my grandma's brain tumors due to the vaccines? Like, no. Like my grandpa was 97. Like something was gonna get him, you know? Something was gonna get him. I love my grandpa, but like, again, like I think I told this on stream. We literally pre-pandemic, so it was like 2019, 2018. He was on life support and had a do not resuscitate, and so the doctors were like, if you pull the plug, he's going to die. We opted for pulling the plug, and then he lived for an extra 4 years. So I already dealt with the trauma of like knowing he was dead. So the fact that he died recently, like, the impact has been more like the finality of it, but then also like dealing again with family and the things they're going through and the stresses those can cause. But like, I got a full life with my grandpa. He lived a long life, and he's been functionally dead for the past 4 years, just because his brain hasn't fully been. So it didn't come as like a huge shock. So if you feel like I'm speaking light about it, that is, I guess like I already processed that trauma. I'm a little bit more upset about grandma. That one came a little quick. But I wish I had that kind of longevity. 97? Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
Effect I see in society because of this pandemic, it's the division. It's putting citizens against citizens, friends against friends, family members against family members.
The division.
I mean, we're on the cusp of Thanksgiving. We should be getting together and celebrating what we have, but it feels different this year, doesn't it?
It does feel different.
I just want to pause like quickly with this, like the whole like division shit. Like who sows division? Like the right wing, they have division on trans issues, they have division on sexual orientation issues, they have the division on sexism, they have the division on Superman. Every fucking issue they're gonna like divide people and get mad at people. But no, it's these.
Well,
these
generally, when you sew, you're sewing things together. You don't really sew things apart, you know?
Well, the sowing here is like planting. You're sowing the seeds of division.
Well, generally, you sow things in the dirt, and
yeah,
it makes something new. It doesn't make something worse.
The new
break.
thing is the division. Hence why it's called sowing seeds of division. I don't need you and your science words via.
It doesn't feel different for me because I'm surrounded by people.
Oh shit.
People that I love, and I'm full of love in my heart. And anybody who's a good person is my friend, is always welcome in my house. If they have something against me, well, I hope they change their mind. But there's nothing I can do about that.
I'm an immigrant, and I love Canada. Yeah. But I'm hopeful though. I'm still feeling hopeful that the people will wake up.
It is our body. It's our choices. We have the choice of what we do, and we are only fighting for our.
Oh, I gotta read this sign. Vax passes are in violation of Canadian Constitution, Canadian Bill of Rights, Charter of Rights and Freedoms, Canadian Human Rights Code, Personal Health Protection Act.
Yep.
I don't think it's in violation of any of them.
I bet all these Greeks fell after the dictatorship ended.
Oh. Wonder, like, I don't know. I like, it's so silly. Like, nowhere in the Constitution would it have prepared us for like a pandemic, such that like, I mean, there's rules for quarantining and such in some of our laws. I think in particular with like some of the health stuff. People are just so silly, so silly.
Freedom. Canada is becoming an open prison, and that's absolutely not what Canada is about.
Would you describe Canada as an open prison? God damn it! I mean, I hope to hell they showed up to like Palestinian solidarity events if you want to talk about a fucking open air prison. These fucking people. Oh yeah. I can't tell like if the person in the car was pro or negative. Like, is she doing it to annoy them, or is she doing it in solidarity? Because honestly, that would annoy the hell out of me. Usually, if you're doing it in support, you do a few blasts, like a beep 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 beep. Like in support, that was like, I hate you. Oh my god. If you are indigenous, perhaps so. Oh, the open air prison thing? I was trying to remember what your comment would be referring to in the video. Yes. Yes.
It is illegal. And they are just being bullied by the other officials to do something like this. And they just need to know that it is wrong. Maybe they're not educated enough to understand what are our rights or what are not our rights, what our rights are and what our rights are not. But
like, so for one, the two things she said so far, the bullied thing, in no way, you know for a goddamn fact that if any of these like ministers of health or any of these like bureaucrats that work in the health area come to Doug Ford and were like, I want to propose this. Doug Ford throughout this pandemic has made choices that went against the health authorities. He chooses when and when not to listen to them, and they're just mad that he doesn't just fully ignore them. Then the other flip side of this is like, as if like these authorities or the people in power don't, or even the lawmakers don't know the law, but she does. She's figured it out. All the lawyers, all the people who work in the legal field, they know absolutely nothing, but she's figured it out. She knows everything about it, and they're wrong. I just love that fucking arrogance to it.
it certainly is not to be able to segregate people that are eating outside because they're unvaccinated and the ones that are eating inside because they're vaccinated. That's absolutely segregation.
People are here to say, you know, and
no shirts, no shoes, no service. Isn't it rude that everyone inside is wearing shirts and people outside, they don't have to wear their shirts? Isn't that weird? That's segregation. That is shirt segregation. I should be able to have my shirt off in that establishment. It's tyranny. This is the equivalent of World War II all over again.
enough is enough. This is we're done with this. I mean, I've been done with this for months, and I think everybody here has been from the very beginning.
I have
Me
the
too.
recording
I am also
of
done with this.
the doctor on duty stating that my mom could not go in to visit my dad, despite that being the hospital policy that COVID patients could receive visitors.
just
The
feel like there's so
hospital
much going on in
administrator
this
actually
story
told
that we
me
don't
face to
know.
face that they didn't believe that COVID should be a reason why someone should die or be alone in the hospital, but they refused my mom entry into the hospital and he died alone.
And I will say as well, like, it is possible, quite possible, that the hospital made a mistake in their circumstance. Like, it's not like errors will never happen, you know? It's just amazing to me that, like, to draw some of the conclusions that she's drawing, I feel there's more to that story that we lack access to, you know? Were you saying something, or I can't tell the whispers in the background?
Yeah. I said yeah. I don't know, I'm just over this video.
We got like a minute left.
Well, folks, we're about 2 hours into the picnic protest, and they're still out here on the wet sidewalks eating away. And it's funny, on a miserable day like this, I bet many of them would love to go to a professional food service establishment, but that's life in Doug Ford's Ontario now, isn't it? Restaurants everywhere, and not a bite to eat, at least not a bite to eat, if you are not double vaccinated. Welcome to Apartheid 2.0, one based on medical status as opposed to race. What a disgrace. For Rebel News,
Oh my God,
I'm
he
David the
rhymed that.
Menzoid Menzies.
Oh my god, he rhymed that. Could you imagine someone... Well, he just did. He did a rhyme for like racial apartheid in South Africa. They had an apartheid based on race. What a disgrace. Thanks, David Menzies. Thanks for showing up.
Hello, my rebels. Hello, my rebels. I'm a good boy. I'm a weirdo.